In 3-card blind, often the outcome of a match is immediately obvious after looking at the cards involved. If the deck you submit has only one creature and your opponent has a path to exile, it's very clear who is going to win that game. However, some matches are much more difficult to determine the outcome of. Let's consider the following two decks. The first deck uses Oko, Thief of Crowns, Simic Growth Chamber, and Treetop Village. The second deck uses Dryad Arbor, Gaia's Cradle, and Hexdrinker. Let's consider the scenario where the Oko player gets to take the first turn. Who do you think is going to win? Let's break down the outcome of the match step by step. In turn 1, the Oko player plays Treetop Village, which comes into play tapped. Then, the Hexdrinker player plays their Dryad Arbor. On the third turn of the game, the Oko player plays Simic Growth Chamber, returning the Treetop Village to their own hand. The following turn, the Hexdrinker player plays Gaia's Cradle, then they tap Dryad Arbor to play Hexdrinker. Now that they have two creatures in play, they can tap their Gaia's Cradle to generate 2 green mana and level up the Hexdrinker twice, putting it to 2 levels. Back to the Oko player's turn, they play their Treetop Village from their hand for a second time. The Hexdrinker player now has their engine online. They can tap Gaia's Cradle and Dryad Arbor to generate a total of 3 mana, putting their Hexdrinker up to 5 levels and allowing them to attack for 4 damage, putting the Oko player to 16 life. The Oko player finally gets to deploy their Oko, and this is where things take a turn. The Oko player uses the +1 ability to bring Oko to 5 loyalty and turns the Hexdrinker into a 3/3 elk. On the Hexdrinker player's turn, they no longer have a Hexdrinker, so their only option is to attack. They can attack for a total of 4 damage here, and either way, the outcome of the game is determined. But let's say they attack Oko for 4 damage, leaving Oko at 1 loyalty. The Oko player gets to take their turn again and generates a food, bringing Oko up to 3 loyalty. But notably here, they now have Treetop Village and Simic Growth Chamber untapped, which can turn Treetop Village into a creature which is able to block the elk and trade with it 1-for-1. And the Dryad Arbor can only get through for a single point of damage, leaving Oko remaining at 2 loyalty. When the Oko player takes their turn again, they can now turn the food that they already made into an elk, leaving the Oko player with a 3/3 creature, which can block the Dryad Arbor for the rest of the game, giving the Oko player an unlimited amount of time to create as much food as they would like, and turn all of those foods into elks before attacking for lethal. Did you guess the outcome of the game correctly? What about if the Hexdrinker player goes first? The game starts off very similarly, but the turn order is reversed. The Hexdrinker player plays Dryad Arbor. Oko player plays Treetop Village. The Hexdrinker player plays Gaia's Cradle, taps Dryad Arbor to play Hexdrinker, and then taps Gaia's Cradle to get to 2 levels. The Oko player plays Simic Growth Chamber, returning Treetop Village to their hand. The Hexdrinker player taps their Gaia's Cradle and Dryad Arbor to generate 3 mana, bringing their Hexdrinker to 5 levels, and then attacks with Hexdrinker for 4 damage. The Oko player plays their Treetop Village again. Here's where things start to look very different. The Hexdrinker player taps their Gaia's Cradle and Dryad Arbor to generate 3 mana, and brings their Hexdrinker to 8 levels, giving their Hexdrinker protection from everything and upgrading it to a 6/6. Now that the Hexdrinker has protection from everything, the Oko player can no longer turn the Hexdrinker into an elk, which will mean that even if the Oko player plays their Oko, the following turn, Oko will be killed by the Hexdrinker attacking it directly for 6 damage. Once Oko is dead, the Hexdrinker player will naturally win the game with their large and unstoppable creature. It may come as no surprise, but which player takes the first turn in the game has a massive impact on the outcome of the game. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and you'd like to learn more about 3-card blind or how to participate in 3-card blind tournaments, be sure to check the description of this video to visit our website and consider subscribing to the channel to see more similar content. Thanks, and have a nice day.